Okay, the time is now 9 a.m. It's March 18th, 2020. Welcome to our special public meeting of the Millcreek Township Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on our agenda is public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on any agenda items other than development or rezoning? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to number 4, Resolution 2020 R14. This is a resolution declaring a disaster emergency with Millcreek Township, affirming, approving, creating, and modifying various policies of the township in response to the COVID-19 virus, modifying the auto dispatch calls for the Millcreek Fire Departments, modifying public meeting format, and temporarily closing the township building to public access. I will now turn this over to Attorney Mark Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman. The resolution obviously is recognizing the various events that have been occurring throughout the world as well as the nation. On March 6th, the governor of Pennsylvania issued an emergency disaster declaration in response to the COVID-19 threats. By virtue of that, the additional authorizations under state law enable the township to take certain actions without time-consuming procedures and formalities. On March 11, the World Health Organization declared that COVID-19 was a pandemic. On March 13th of 2020, the President of the United States issued a proclamation declaring a national emergency concerning the COVID-19 outbreak, declaring a national emergency under state and federal law. On March 16th, the county executive for Erie County, Pennsylvania, issued a disaster emergency due to the coronavirus pandemic. And so in recognizing that the COVID-19 is endangering the health, safety, and welfare of a substantial number of persons residing in Millcreek Township and threatens to create problems greater in scope than the township may be able to resolve, it is taking these actions to reduce, in an effort to reduce the impact of COVID-19 on the residents and employees of Millcreek Township. So, as part of the resolution, there's a declaration of disaster emergency pursuant to Section 7501 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code. That is effective immediately. The Millcreek Township Emergency Management Coordinator is directed to coordinate the activities of emergency response and to take all appropriate action needed to alleviate the effects of this disaster, to aid in restoration of essential public services, and to take any other emergency response action deemed necessary to respond to this emergency. In addition, the Emergency Management Coordinator is directed to coordinate the activities of the emergency response, to take all appropriate action needed to alleviate those effects and to restore and ensure essential public services, and take other action that is deemed necessary. Also, in addition, the officials of Millcreek are authorized to exercise the powers vested under the Section 7501 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Code to take actions without regard to time-consuming procedures and formalities prescribed by law pertaining to the performance of public work, entering into contracts, the incurring of obligations, the employment of temporary workers, the rental of equipment, the purchase of supplies and materials, levying of taxes, and the appropriation and expenditure of public funds. Next is references the Emergency Management Coordinator. The Township's current Emergency Management Coordinator is leaving the employment of Millcreek, effective close of business Thursday, March 19, 2020. The Board of Supervisors hereby names Shalyn Anderson as the Interim Emergency Management Coordinator for Millcreek Township, effective March 19, 2020. The Board of Supervisors hereby authorize the completion, execution, and submission of a request for appointment of Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator as required under state law as soon as possible. with respect to fire and EMS calls. Pursuant to Section 1553A of the Second-Class Township Code, the township is responsible to determine the means and extent of fire and emergency medical services are provided within the township. Also pursuant to Section 1553B, township shall consult with fire and emergency medical providers to discuss emergency service needs of the township. This was done at a meeting with the fire chiefs and the Millcreek Paramedic Service on March 15th of 2020. At that meeting, the fire chiefs and MPS voted to indefinitely suspend having the fire departments responding to all emergency medical response calls except for the following incidents: unresponsive patient, cardiac arrest, traumatic injuries, industrial accidents, gunshot wounds, motor vehicle accidents, and any call for which the EMS provider specifically requests assistance. This is being done to limit the access of the fire personnel unnecessarily to potential exposures. As a result of this, of the vote of the fire chiefs and MPS, the Board of Supervisors hereby directs the Millcreek Office of Emergency Management to immediately advise the Erie County Dispatch Center to modify the Millcreek Township CAD response recommendations to indefinitely suspend having the fire departments respond to all emergency medical response calls except for the incidents I mentioned above. Until further notice, the Board of Supervisors direct Millcreek Fire Departments and MPS to submit to the Township Office of Emergency Management a report by noon each Monday, providing the Township with various information to enable the Township to assess the status and readiness of the fire departments and MPS within the Township. With respect to Township policies, the Board of Supervisors hereby affirms and approves the Millcreek Township Travel Moratorium Policy issued on March 12 of 2020. Supervisors also affirm and approve a policy canceling all public programs conducted through Millcreek Township until further notice, canceling all reservations at any township facility by private parties, including private events planned to be held at the Township Building in Asbury Barn through May 22nd, 2020. Board of Supervisors also affirm and approve that the Millcreek Township COVID-19 guidelines relating to sick time, travel, and reporting were issued on March 16th of 2020. The Board of Supervisors hereby affirm and approve the request by Highmark Insurance to waive the copay for lab testing of the COVID-19 virus and for the next 90 days to waive the copay for telemedicine usage under the Township's health insurance. The Board of Directors issues the following policy regarding public supervisors meetings effective immediately. Pending further notice, all future public supervisor meetings shall be held via Go Live on YouTube. The public will not be able to personally attend the meetings, but will be able to participate either by calling into the meeting or posting comments below the video that can be read in real time at the appropriate time for comments. The Board of Supervisors also approves the Continuity of Operations Plan dated March 18th, 2020, which provides for how essential services needs in the Township will be met under various emergency operating scenarios. This is being attached to the resolution as Exhibit A. And lastly, the Board of Supervisors issues the following policy regarding public access to the Township Building. Effective at 2 p.m. on March 18, 2020, Township Building shall be closed to the public. Township operations shall continue to be performed within the building, but residents who need to contact Township personnel are advised to either call or email the person with whom you need to speak. This similarly applies to those seeking to speak with the Office of the Millcreek Township Tax Collector and the offices of Berkheimer and the offices of the Millcreek Paramedic Services, which are also located in the building. This does not impact or include the offices of the Magisterial District Justice or the Millcreek Township Police Department, each of whom have separate entrances. There will be a drop box located outside of the building.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Do I hear a motion on Resolution 2020-R14?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion approving Resolution 2020-R14.
And I will second that motion. Mr. Arlett, your vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Next on our agenda is a consulting agreement, independent contract consulting agreement. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, before you is an independent contractor agreement between the township and Caleb Dixon. Caleb Dixon is our current emergency management coordinator who, long before this occurred, had taken another position with the state PEMA. Although he will be sorely missed by the township, he has been indicated a willingness to continue to assist as necessary, both with respect to code enforcement matters that he has been involved in, as well as assist on any emergency management situations where we may need his assistance. Under the agreement, his compensation is set at $30 an hour, which it includes all reasonable travel expenses, as well as travel time, as set forth in the agreement.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a motion on the consulting agreement with Mr. Dixon?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
And I will second that. Mr. Owlett, your vote?
I vote yes.
I also vote yes on that. I would just like to publicly thank Caleb for his service to the township. It's been a pleasure working with you.
And I echo that also. Thank you, Caleb.
Okay, next on our agenda is citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens here that wish to be heard today? No? Okay. Hearing none. Last on our agenda is adjournment. Call for adjournment. I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. We are adjourned at 9:12. Thank you.